The notification hit my phone like a punch. $12,400 gone from our joint savings account. I stared at the banking app for 3 seconds, hoping the numbers would change. They didn't. My hands started shaking as I scrolled through the transaction history. A single withdrawal, made yesterday morning. No warning. No explanation. Just absence where there should have been security. I sat down on our bed, still wearing my work clothes from the accounting firm. The room felt too quiet. I opened Instagram out of habit, the way you do when your brain is trying to make sense of something it can't. That's when I saw it. A photo of my wife, Sarah, smiling in front of the Bellagio fountain in Las Vegas. The caption made my stomach drop, "When love comes full circle. Thank you for making this possible." Her hand was wrapped around a man's arm. Not just any man. Trevor. Her ex-boyfriend from college. The one she said didn't matter anymore. My vision blurred for a moment. I had to read the caption 3 times to make sure I wasn't misreading it. But the words stayed the same. The post had been up for 8 hours. 42,000 likes. 3,000 comments. Everyone was celebrating them. Celebrating us being destroyed. I called her 10 times. Each ring felt like a countdown to something I wasn't ready for. On the 11th attempt, she picked up. Her voice was light, almost playful, like she was calling from a vacation resort instead of from destroying our life together. "Hey, babe. What's up?" she said, and I could hear slot machines and laughter in the background. People having fun. People celebrating while I sat in darkness. "Sarah." My voice came out as a whisper. "Where are you? And where is our money?" There was a pause. The kind of pause that tells you everything before anyone speaks. "It's just a trip, Connor. Don't be so dramatic." Her tone shifted to something patronizing, like I was a child complaining about nothing. I needed to get away. The stress has been killing me. "Sarah, that's 12 grand. That was our down payment for the house. That was everything we've been saving for 2 years. It's not that serious. My parents will help us rebuild. Just stop worrying so much." I felt my hands trembling. "You're with him. You're with Trevor." The line went quiet for so long I thought she'd hung up. Then she said, very quietly, "This is why I can't talk to you about anything. You always make everything about you." And then the dial tone. I sat there holding the phone, listening to nothing. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat in our living room with all the lights off, staring at our wedding photograph on the wall. We looked so happy in that picture. It was from our wedding in Colorado, 3 years ago. I remembered every moment of that day. The way my mother cried. The way Sarah laughed when I tripped walking down the aisle. How we promised each other that we'd build something real, something strong, something that would last forever. I'd worked 60-hour weeks at the accounting firm to make that money. I'd skipped lunches. I'd turned down promotions that required travel because she wanted me home. I'd put her through her MBA program. I'd supported her when she quit her first job because the boss was difficult. I'd listened to her cry about her family drama. I'd held her hand through hospital visits. I'd loved her the way you're supposed to love someone you want to spend your whole life with. And she'd taken our future and given it to a man who'd broken her heart in 2018. My eyes burned, but the tears wouldn't come. There was just this hollow feeling, like something inside me had been scooped out and replaced with concrete. She came back 3 days later with designer shopping bags and a smile that looked plastic. When she walked into our apartment in Portland, she acted like nothing had happened. Like she hadn't destroyed everything. She handed me a small gift bag, stuffed with tissue paper. "I got you something," she said brightly, like she was excited to see how happy I'd be. Inside was a cheap snow globe from Las Vegas with a tacky label that said, "Best Boyfriend Ever," on it. The kind of thing you buy at a gas station when you've forgotten to get someone a real gift. A snow globe with glitter that probably wouldn't even settle right. I managed a weak smile because I didn't have the strength to fight. But inside, something shifted. In that moment, I realized she didn't see what she'd done. She didn't understand the scale of the pain. She thought a snow globe could fix a broken marriage. She thought her excitement could erase 2 years of broken promises. That's when I knew she wasn't sorry. She was just comfortable. Over the next few days, I started asking gentle questions. I wanted to understand. I wanted there to be some explanation that made sense. Some reason that would transform betrayal into something I could understand. So, was it really a business investment? I asked one evening, trying to keep my voice neutral. We were sitting at the dinner table, pushing food around on our plates. She looked uncomfortable. We've talked about this already. We haven't really talked about anything. You hung up on me in Vegas. Well, it was investment related. Trevor was showing me some real estate opportunities in Nevada. It's a good market right now. But I'd already seen the photos her friend had shared with me in a private message. Photos of them at a luxury restaurant in the Venetian. Photos of Trevor giving her a diamond bracelet. Photos of them in a hotel suite with champagne. I'd already Googled her location and seen the shopping receipts from the forum shops at Caesar's Palace. I knew the truth. Every word was a lie designed to protect herself. I saw the receipts, Sarah. She stood up suddenly, her jaw tightening. You're checking my receipts now. You're spying on me. That's so controlling, Connor. And just like that, I became the bad guy for trying to understand the truth. I stopped arguing after that. Instead, I started documenting. I bought a small notebook and wrote down every suspicious charge. Every late night she came home smelling like cologne. Every time she went to the bathroom to text someone. Every vague lie about where she'd been or who she'd been talking to. Not because I wanted revenge. I wasn't planning anything dramatic. I was documenting because somewhere deep inside, I knew I needed to protect myself. I needed proof of what was happening. My friend Marcus, a lawyer I'd known since high school, had always told me to keep records. You never know what you might need, he'd say when we'd grab coffee. I'd never thought I'd actually need that advice in my own marriage. But life has a way of surprising you in the worst ways possible. I started creating a folder on my laptop labeled House Documents and saved everything. Screenshots of transactions. Receipts. Photos. Messages. It felt clinical and cold, but it also felt necessary. I met Marcus at a coffee shop near my office downtown. He was already there when I arrived, sitting in our usual corner with 2 cups of coffee already ordered. He knew me well enough to know I wouldn't want to order. I'd have trouble speaking. And I did. I told him everything. I didn't spare any details. The money. Las Vegas. The lies. The way she'd made me feel like I was crazy for being upset. He listened without interrupting, which was one of the things I'd always valued about him. He didn't jump to conclusions. He didn't immediately take sides. When I finished, he was quiet for a long moment. Then he said something that steadied me in a way nothing else could have. Connor, listen to me. Don't lose your peace over this. I know it feels like your world is ending, but it's not. You're going to get through this. Gather your proof. Document everything. And when you're ready to move, move smart. Don't move in anger. Move with clarity. I nodded, feeling something shift inside me. Not hope exactly, but maybe the beginning of acceptance. Like I could see a path forward. For weeks after that, I went through the motions. Wake up. Work. Come home. Eat dinner. Go to bed. Repeat. I became a ghost in my own life. Sarah noticed the coldness but seemed to attribute it to work stress. Sometimes she was sweet to me, bringing me coffee while I worked. Other times she was distant, cold, scrolling through her phone while I sat beside her. I realized she was mirroring my behavior, and I realized she wasn't sorry. She was just comfortable with how things were. Comfort without guilt. That's what I was living in. And it was slowly poisoning me. I started spending more time at work, volunteering for extra projects, staying late into the evening. My boss noticed and praised my dedication. If only he knew I was running from home. I'd sit in my car in the parking garage for an hour after work ended, just to delay going back to the apartment. One night, I found myself sitting in my car and crying. Real tears this time. The kind that leave you empty and exhausted. One night, Sarah's phone buzzed on the nightstand while she slept. I almost ignored it. I should have ignored it. But my hand moved on its own, my eyes reading the notification before my brain could stop me. It was a message from Trevor. Wish you were still here. That week was perfect. Miss you. The words burned into my brain. Miss you. Like she was supposed to go back. Like this was temporary. Like our marriage was just something she was putting on pause while she figured out what she really wanted. I sat there in the dark, my heart pounding. I forwarded the message to my personal email with shaking hands and sat there, staring at the phone screen. That's when I knew for sure. This wasn't a one-time mistake. This wasn't a moment of weakness. This was a choice. An ongoing choice to hurt me, to disrespect me, to make me look foolish in front of everyone we knew. I could have confronted her. I could have screamed. I could have thrown her things out the window. Instead, I just lay back down beside her and stared at the ceiling until morning came. 2 weeks later, I was at a friend's dinner party in Northeast Portland. We were sitting around a large table with candles and wine, and conversation was flowing easily. Then someone mentioned Sarah's trip. My coworker James brought it up casually, not knowing he was about to destroy me. Man, she went all out for that man, James said, laughing. I saw the pictures. That was a whole vacation, not just a trip. The table laughed. Everyone laughed. Everyone knew. Everyone had been watching our marriage fall apart on social media and found it entertaining. Found it amusing. I felt my face getting hot. I excused myself and went to the bathroom. I locked the door and sat on the edge of the bathtub and cried. The kind of cry that comes from the deepest part of you, the part that holds all the pain you've been trying to ignore. I cried for the marriage I thought I had. I cried for my own stupidity. I cried for the future that would never exist. And I cried because everyone at that table had known what my wife was doing, and nobody had told me. They just watched and laughed. When I came out, I made an excuse about not feeling well and left early. When I got home, Sarah was already asleep. I stood at the foot of our bed and looked at her face in the moonlight coming through the window. This was the woman I'd promised to spend my whole life with. This was the woman who'd promised the same to me. And somehow, we'd become strangers. Worse than strangers. I whispered something to myself that night. Something that would change everything. You deserve better than being humiliated in your own home. I sat on the edge of the bed and made a decision. Not in anger. Not in revenge. In self-respect. I couldn't fix this marriage. I couldn't fix her. I could only fix myself. And that meant leaving. I'd known this was coming for weeks, but saying it to myself made it real. The decision didn't feel dramatic. It felt quiet. Certain. Like I'd finally found solid ground after weeks of drowning. The next morning, I opened my laptop and started making a plan. Not a revenge plan. A survival plan. I contacted my bank and opened a new account in my name only. I started moving my salary there, starting with my next paycheck. I wasn't trying to hide money from her. I was trying to protect myself from further financial devastation. I spent my lunch hours looking at apartments. Small ones. Affordable ones in different neighborhoods around Portland. Nothing fancy. I wasn't looking for luxury. I was looking for safety. A place that was mine. A place where I could heal without her watching me. I didn't rush anything. I just prepared. One calm, deliberate step at a time. The way Marcus had taught me. The way you dismantle something carefully so it doesn't explode in your face. Then came the slip-up. I was working from home one afternoon, and Sarah had stepped out for a meeting. She'd left her email open on my laptop, her Gmail account still logged in. I should have closed it immediately. Instead, I looked at her inbox. There were receipts. So many receipts. Luxury watches charged to our joint credit card. Hotel bills. Restaurant charges. All of them were from the dates she'd been in Vegas. And all of them were in my name. Our joint name. Our shared credit card. She'd never intended to pay any of it back. It wasn't a loan. It was theft. Deliberate theft. I printed everything. All of it. I had dozens of pages of evidence that showed a clear pattern of financial betrayal. I put them in a folder and hid them in my desk drawer at work, inside a binder labeled tax documents. That's when I knew for sure that I was leaving. I finally asked her the question I needed an answer to. Not because I thought it would change anything, but because I needed to hear it out loud. We were sitting in the living room, the television playing in the background. "Do you love me, Sarah?" She looked at me like I'd asked the most ridiculous question in the world. She looked away. She couldn't meet my eyes. "You've changed, Connor. You're different now. You're too boring." The word landed like a blade. Boring. Because I didn't want her spending our savings on her ex-boyfriend, I was boring. Because I'd caught her lying, I was the problem. I just nodded. I didn't argue. I didn't defend myself. I just said very quietly, "Okay." It was the last real conversation we ever had. After that, we just existed in the same space. Ghosts haunting the same apartment. I spent the next week preparing everything. I gathered all my documents. All my proof. I made copies and stored them in multiple places. In my desk at work. In my car. In a safe deposit box. I removed my name from shared utilities. I called the electric company and the water company and told them I needed to be taken off the accounts. I scheduled a consultation with Marcus about filing for divorce. He said he could do it properly, make sure I wasn't left vulnerable. And I felt a strange peace settling over me. The kind of peace that comes when you stop begging for respect and start demanding it from yourself. When you stop trying to save someone and start saving yourself. One morning, I canceled the joint debit cards. I called the bank and explained that I needed to protect my income from unauthorized charges. I transferred everything. I moved my salary directly into my new account. I informed the bank of the unauthorized charges from Vegas and told them I was considering fraud charges. The bank representative listened carefully and said they could help me. When Sarah found out, she stormed through our apartment like a hurricane. "Why would you do this to me?" she screamed. "Why are you being so cruel?" I looked at her calmly and said, "Why did you do it to us?" She had no answer. She never did. She just kept repeating that I was being unfair, that I was being dramatic, that I was ruining her life. But I'd heard all of that before. Her ex posted a photo on Instagram. Just a casual picture, showing off. But in the caption, he wrote, "So grateful for women who know what they want and aren't afraid to go after it. This one even paid for the whole trip. That's love, baby." And then he tagged her. The post went viral in her friend group. Her friends started asking questions. Her family started asking questions. She deleted her Instagram account. She deleted her Facebook. She went dark on all social media, trying to disappear from the humiliation she'd created for herself. But it was too late. Screenshots existed. The internet remembers. That was the moment when karma stopped being abstract and became very, very real. Her cousin sent me a private message on Facebook. We weren't close, but she felt like I should know something. She worked at the same company as Sarah, actually. I told her she was ruining her life, she wrote. I told her that you were a good man and that Trevor was toxic and that she was being stupid. But she didn't listen. She said she felt alive for the first time in years. She said you made her feel trapped. I'm sorry. We all saw it coming, and we didn't know how to stop her. For the first time, I realized that people had known. Her friends had known. Her family had known. They'd watched her destroy our marriage in real time and said nothing to me. They'd protected her secret instead of protecting me from the pain. That realization hurt almost as much as the betrayal itself. I packed my things on a Thursday evening. I didn't make a scene. I didn't yell or slam doors. I just quietly folded my clothes and put them in 2 suitcases. I took what was mine. I left what was hers. I wrote her a note and left it on the kitchen counter where she'd see it immediately. I loved you enough to build a future. You loved me enough to destroy it. I hope it was worth it. Then I walked out without slamming the door. I didn't look back. I got in my car and drove to Marcus's house, where he'd said I could stay for a few nights while I figured things out. She flooded my phone with messages. First apologies. Then crying. Then excuses. I was confused. I was going through something. I didn't mean to hurt you. I still love you. We can fix this. Please come home. But words don't undo betrayal. Words don't bring back trust. Words don't fix a broken marriage. I read every message, and then I blocked her number. I blocked her on email. I blocked her on social media. I erased her from every way I could be reached. The messages kept coming from different numbers, different platforms. She was desperate. She was panicking. She was finally realizing that I wasn't going to fix this for her. For the first time in months, I could breathe freely. Marcus filed the divorce papers the following week. He cited financial misconduct. He detailed everything. The unauthorized withdrawal. The purchases in my name. The Vegas trip I didn't approve. The lies. The ongoing contact with her ex. Everything was documented and submitted to the court. It wasn't revenge. It was closure. It was protecting myself legally from someone who'd already proven they didn't care about hurting me. My savings were gone. The house we'd been planning to buy was now just a dream. But my peace wasn't for sale. My dignity wasn't for sale. And my future wasn't going to be defined by what she'd done to me. I was going to define it myself. Sarah's downfall was swift. Trevor, her ex, abandoned her within weeks. He'd gotten what he wanted, a vacation paid for by someone else and the ego boost of knowing she'd chosen him over her own husband. Once that wore off, he ghosted her completely. She tried calling him repeatedly, but he never picked up. Her friends distanced themselves. The scandal had become public, and nobody wanted to be associated with her anymore. Then her job found out. Someone had shown the posts to her company's HR department. She worked in marketing, and they couldn't have employees engaging in that kind of public behavior. She was suspended pending investigation. The company couldn't have that kind of scandal attached to their brand. Everything she chased disappeared. The ex, the friends, the job. All of it just vanished, leaving her with nothing but the consequences of her choices. I took out a small loan and bought a modest apartment in southeast Portland. It wasn't the house I'd dreamed of. It wasn't the future I'd imagined. But standing in that empty room, looking at the walls that were mine, I realized something important. This apartment was built with honesty. It was built with pain that had turned into purpose. It was built with self-respect and the understanding that I deserved better. It wasn't what I'd planned for, but it was real. It was mine. And that mattered more than anything else. I stood in the living room and just breathed for a moment, feeling the weight lift off my shoulders. Months later, Sarah sent me a long message through a number I didn't recognize. She'd gotten a new phone, figured out my contact information, and reached out. The message was full of regrets. She said she didn't realize what she had until it was gone. She said she'd made the biggest mistake of her life. She said she understood now why I'd left. She said she was in therapy and working through her issues. I read it once. Then I deleted it. I didn't reply. I didn't acknowledge it. Some lessons are meant to stay learned in silence. Some people need to sit with their choices and understand them fully, without the comfort of forgiveness to ease their burden. A year later, I sat on the balcony of my apartment, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and pink over the Portland skyline. I wasn't bitter. I wasn't angry anymore. I was grateful. Grateful for the pain because it had taught me something important about myself. Grateful for the betrayal because it had shown me what I really deserved. Grateful for the ending because it had given me a new beginning. What I'd lost in money, I'd gained in wisdom. What I'd lost in marriage, I'd gained in self-worth. And I'd learned that betrayal might break you, but if you let it, it can also rebuild you. Stronger. Wiser. Better than before. I looked at my reflection in the glass door, and I finally recognized the man looking back. He wasn't the broken version from a year ago. He was someone new. Someone who understood his value. Someone ready for whatever came next. The future was uncertain, but for the first time, I wasn't afraid of that.